Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is all going to be about soundproofing the van before we can start the insulation. So at the moment it's like driving around in a giant rattles spray can because everything just seems to rattle and creak. And now we're taking down the bulkhead between the front and the back. You can barely have a conversation in the front, it's that loud. So we've done our first bit of shopping, only a few small bits. One is, have you got can you pass me one of those? So the first thing we're going to do sound deadening wise is, I mentioned it in the last video, some of the panels have come away from the ribs. Thank you. I was quite surprised to find out that kind of the automotive industry uses a lot more of this adhesive than I thought. I thought it was more welds, but a lot of these panels are an adhesive sort of sealant to the ribs of the van. Where they have come away, you get this sort of rattling as you drive. So what I've gone and got some just standard Sikaflex kind of flexible adhesive. So I'm going to re-attach those. Even some of the side panels here have come away. You can see the blobs of the original sealant. It's almost like a black foam actually that's been used before being painted. So this sort of noise when you go over a bump, we're going to be able to fix that. We're still on the hunt for a single passenger seat. There's one on eBay, but it's a different upholstery. We're not that concerned about that because we're going to do seat covers, but it's still, they're about £200, but there's only about one or two I can see, and that will allow us to spin these front seats around on swivel seats. So this is a bit of an eBay find, second hand. It's basically a silver screen for the front, but we only paid £20. It's been used a couple of times. However, I'm a little bit concerned it's going to be from the wrong year. He did assure me that he had a 2014 Ducato, which should fit this vehicle. The idea is by sticking these up in the windscreen, we insulate the front. We don't have condensation on the front windscreen, but it also means that the whole thing's private. So this is the screen. Interior is grey, outside silver, just with suckers to go on the windscreen. But hopefully it's going to fit. And there's two side ones as well for the driver and the window. But for £20, it should do the job. And if we want something a bit more bespoke, Jo can make, I'm sure she can knock something up on the sewing machine. She's pretty good like that. We just popped one on as a tester. I think they're made for this vehicle. But they suck on, there's kind of 4 or 5 of these little ring pulls with a suction on the other side. What are you up to? Why are you always in the driver's seat?
Because I love to drive.
You love to drive? So first up, adhesive. So I degreased everything in the last video. You saw me kind of wipe everything down, so this should stick fine. From what I've heard, this Sikaflex stuff, this is a general purpose one, but it's quite firm and you sometimes have to warm the tubes up, but we'll see how well it comes out. I really want quite a thin, I've just left the tip as it was because I need to get right under these ribs. The original manufacturer's adhesive is just in blobs, so I don't think it needs a full seam, but I'll put a few more than what was there because we've got no access to this after we've bored it out. Yeah, I mean up here there's a great big gap. I don't think that these small panels probably don't make much noise, but you see this one here, this is what I was on about. You can see how it lifts up, so what I'm doing is just lifting it up, gunning in a load of this stuff and then setting it down again. and one place where it's a little bit higher, I'm going to put a weight on the outside just to push it back down, but it does spring down, so we just need enough of this in there. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to these lovely people. Right, job done. That's all I used one tube. And this is another one of those things that sometimes you forget to budget in. The amount of this adhesive we're going to get through. There's two grades, one's more of a sealant and one's more of an adhesive. 221 and 5 something. This is the multi-purpose screw fix version, but yeah, Sikaflex or Tiger Seal is another one I think. I reckon this is probably the best tip I can give, not that I've even seen the results yet, but by using this sealant in here, what we've done is reduce, it wasn't even attached to this rib, it had come away from that factory sealant and others around the band. So the cost of barely even half a tube of this, we've managed to do the whole of the wall panels and cut down the amount of movement from, you know, over a metre to these smaller panels. And we can now go in there with the sound deadening mat. We've got disco going on in the front again. This is expensive stuff. I hadn't really appreciated that at the beginning. Now you only need to cover about 30%, I think the supply said, of the panels to get a good decrease in the reverberation and sound. I think it just takes the pitch of the noise. You know, this sort of high-pitched rattle, it just deadens that down to like a lower rumble. But of course then we're going to be insulating here, so between the butyl type sound deadening and then the soft insulation which we're going to use, and I'll cover that in another one, and then we've got another layer of vapor barrier insulation. There's kind of 3 different densities of insulation, so they should cut out a lot of the frequencies. Well, that's the plan. So this is somewhat of a budget option. It's still not cheap, it's £50 for a roll. We're going to need 2. I've got one for now to see how good it is. But basically, you get Dynamat and various other ones, which are fairly thick butyl rubber with foil on one side, and you basically stick them on. They normally come in panels. This is on a big roll. It's a slightly more budget option, but it's more suited to vans because it's more economical, just because otherwise you'd be spending absolutely hundreds. So with the ceiling I can either cut strips and go between all the kind of the corrugations, or it's quite flexible stuff. I could probably just put one sort of strip in each panel and just follow it up and under. Got 2 troublemakers now. So this is the foil side. You release the backing paper and then the sticky bitumen type, or not, butyl rubber. Right, we had lunch. The rabble are coming out now. We're going to get all these stuck to the ceiling. Ah, you heard me. The rabble. Believe it or not, this end of a roller is actually not too bad. It takes the pressure off using your knuckles, and the end of it's kind of rounded and obviously smooth, so it's not going to damage it. You can really get it into all the grooves. I realised I haven't allowed for, we're going to put a vent in here, just a 40 centimetre square vent with a fan. because the oven will probably be around here, the grill. So I'm going to cut out this, otherwise it's just going to gum up the blade when we cut from above. It's like a really soft butyl. It's not like bitumen that would stain your hands. I know some people try and use flash band, like roofing tape. But I think this is probably the best way to go, and I'm sure this is a cheaper product. It probably works out the same as trying to take shortcuts with the roofing product. I did really want, there's a flat area at the front here where it's quite easy to fit a bigger roof light, but the ones that are that size, the big kind of Hecky or Sipes, I think the other one, but they're £300–400, and I think we've got enough light. If we didn't have the side windows, then it'd be a must. Yeah? If I order one more roll of sound deadening, I was going to use a thicker one on the walls, but it seems to be okay, and it'll keep us in on budget. So I'm going to get one more roll. They're 4.5 metre rolls, so that gives me enough to do all of these remaining panels around the van. And then another quite important spot is above the cab. Although this will be cupboards, I haven't quite worked out how it'll be, but you know, it'll be the sort of place where we can put bedding and stuff. This is one bit that I don't want to skip. We still need to insulate this just as much as anywhere, and quite a lot of the sound is going to be coming through here as well, I guess, or it's certainly closer to where we are driving. So I'm going to put some of the sound deadening up there as well, and then hopefully out of that roll I can get a good bit of it on the wheel arches. That's clearly a lot of sound's going to come through there, and then any offcuts I'll just fit in the kind of in between the in the valleys of the floor. I mean, it's going to be hard to tell until we're back on the road, but there's a definite, when you tap these panels, it's almost like a dead sound now. It's not tinny at all, whereas some of the other panels are kind of I don't know, they just seem to have a higher pitch and more resonance than these. It's just more like a thud. So I'm hoping this is going to do a good job and it's not just a waste of time and money. That's the whole roll. The nice thing is you don't have any wastage. It's not like insulation where you end up with offcuts. You can just patchwork it. And I think most of these were well over that 40%, 30%, 40% threshold of coverage, so looks pretty good. So I'm hoping one more roll will do it. We'll get the remaining bits done. There's not a huge amount left on the wall. Get above the cab done, and then whatever's left we'll do wheel arches and floor. So I'll put a link to the product we use below in the description, and value for money wise it seems to be the best one I could find. Obviously until I drive it I can't tell performance, but... So we set them up fairly quickly. They could be a lot, you know, tidier the way that they, I think you could probably get a 100% blackout. And there's a slit there at the top to allow for a rear view mirror, which we haven't got yet, because obviously there was the bulkhead. But apart from that, I think £20 well spent. Right, so that's it for the sound deadening phase of the project. Next up we're going to be, I think the next video we'll probably be talking about our plans, layout, budget, all that sort of stuff. So we'll probably be just grabbing a cup of tea, sitting down and having a chat for that one. And after that then we're going to be hitting the ground running with insulation and yeah, getting the whole thing lined out, I guess. So as always, subscribe for more videos, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one, And remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, I do need to come back for the camera.